Alright, so welcome back. So it's time to start talking about functions in Swift. Obviously we need functions, kind of important to any language. We're also going to be making mention of collated and uncollated, so that's why my figure's on here. Something's collated, it'd be like if you were making copies of something that had 3 pages, they would come out if you made 3 copies, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Something that's uncollated would be 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. We're going to use that later, so I just thought I'd kind of show that image. So go ahead and fire up Xcode and open up this functions playground. Looks like I've got it in my follow alongs folder right there, so just double click on that guy. When you first open it up, it won't look like much. What we're going to do first is we're going to make a basic function. So you can see that there's a call on here to a function called string repeater that obviously doesn't work yet. Let's go look at what string repeater is supposed to do. So what string repeater is supposed to do is you're supposed to pass it a string and an int, and what it's going to do is it's going to give you a string back that's going to be repeated 3 times. So I passed in ho, it's going to pass back ho ho ho. I'm recording this shortly before Christmas, so I couldn't resist. So that's our goal. Let's start talking about how we're going to actually do that. So in Swift, you want the keyword func. You've probably seen this before in little things we've done. And the name of this function is going to be string repeater. And then what we need to do is we need to decide how do we make the inputs and outputs to this function. So the way you make inputs is similar to most languages. You type them into the parentheses after the function name. The thing that's different a little bit, I'm going to call it original string. The thing that's different a little bit is in Swift you use this colon and then you put what type it is after the name. And that's consistent with what they did with variables as well. And so I'm going to make 2 values in here. I'm going to make one called original string, which is of course a string, and then the other called repeat count. Oops, I'm going to change that to take off the ed. And then I'll make it kind of fit on my screen better. So that is the inputs to the function. You also notice that we want to output something. Now the way most functions do this is you put, over to the left what it is you return. That is not how Swift works. Swift, you put it after the function. Now, to be honest, that actually kind of makes sense because, you think if these are the inputs, then that's the output. It should kind of come after. So Swift decided to kind of do what made sense instead of what every language has done since C, right? And then if you just kind of wanted to do a quick test, you could just kind of make sure that it would return a string and it would print it out here. So that actually does work. So it's printing out on this line because we're returning it. So we're returning test. Obviously, returning test is not the solution to this function. So what we want to do is we want to make a variable in here. I'm going to call it repeated string. That's where I got the ed from. I knew I had it somewhere in my brain. And what we're going to do is we're just going to loop over from 0 up to count. So we're going to say 0 dot dot count. And you have to decide, do I want to also include count? If I'm starting from 0, it turns out that what I want to do is I don't want to include count. We've also got this variable I that we don't really need in this function. We're not going to do anything with I. And whenever you have a situation like that, what you can do is you can actually type underscore, and that will mean the variable that you don't want. It is being picky on me here. It wants me to use a variable that exists. I said the word count, but I really meant to say repeat count. So this function is going to occur the correct number of times, so that's a good step. But what we really wanted to do is we wanted to increment the string by 1 original string. So every time it runs another time. And then what we'd like to do is we'd like to return that repeated string. So really the goal of this was not at all about actually the writing of this function. I mean, I like teaching you additional skills, but really it was about this inputs and outputs and how do we actually do those things. So you can see the inputs are easy. You just say the name of it, what type it is. Then there's another parameter, name, what type it is. And then what you return, you have to put this little hyphen greater than, which looks like a nice arrow. So it's returning a string. And then the implementation of the function is, however you need to implement the function that you need. All right, so that's it for this function. What we're going to do is we're just going to break each function into its own video. So we're actually just see you next time where we come back and we look at returning a tuple. See you then.